How do I switch it on? Oh, hang on. The power button. Right, where's my idiot sheet? My idiot sheet says, meter the shadows where there is still visible detail, or detail visible, then underexposed by 2 stops. Meter the shadows where there is still detail visible. There are no shadows. Well, no, there is shadows. All right, so let's meter the shadows then. About there. So, if I want F8, it's telling me, no, if I want 2.8, then I need 500th of a second. Okay, let's dial that in. Okay, what did we say? 2.8 at 500th of a second. 2.8, 500th of a second. Check focus on the tree. I think we could do with a square. Yep, that suits the square quite nicely actually. Right, just double check focus again. That looks good. 2.8 means the background should be nice and out. Take the picture. Right, so now let's review the result. What does the histogram look like? Maybe a tad underexposed, but not bad. Not bad at all. Impressive. Greetings everybody, and welcome back to the landscape. So today I'm playing with a new toy. The fact I couldn't find the power button probably just goes to show how new this is. And I'm just going to walk up to the camera and show you my new toy, which is a Sekonic light meter. It's a Sekonic L408, which I managed to get at a reasonable price from an eBay seller in Japan. Why? Why am I bothering with a light meter? Well, it comes down to money. Money and the fact that I'm playing with film, or I'm having a bit of a flirtation with film all over again, film photography. And I've got some numbers here for you. Let's wind back a step. I've bought a medium format film camera. A medium format camera that doesn't have a light meter built into it. In fact, it's the first camera I've ever owned. No, it's the second actually, because I have a pinhole camera. But it's the second camera I've owned that doesn't have any kind of metering built into it. And using a generic reflected light meter is only going to get you so far. That works probably quite well for intimate subjects, but for wide open scenes like this, from the research that I've done, you need a spot meter. And I've never used a spot meter before. And rather than just randomly go out and point the spot meter and go, yeah, that'll do, click, I'm electing to use my digital camera to do what the spot meter is suggesting, and then use the digital camera to give me an idea as to how close I am or I'm not. The theory being that's free, film isn't. And just to highlight that, so I've got some Kodak Gold 200 120 film. So that's 15 exposures on one roll of film. A roll of film, or the film that I bought, cost me £8, 8 UK pounds. That's 53 pence a frame. To process and scan that roll of film, so I do have a home film scanner, but what I tend to do is I have the film processed and then I'll have some low resolution scans done so that I can select which frame to then spend the time processing to a higher resolution. The cost of processing and scanning, that's £13 a roll. For 15 frames, that's 87 pence a frame. Put the two together, that is £1.40 every time I push the shutter button when I'm using that Kodak Gold 200 film. That's a lot of money to throw in the bin when I'm experimenting, which is why I'm investing some time playing with the digital camera and the spot meter. Now, I haven't randomly just gone out into the landscape and played with it. As you can imagine, I've done a lot of research. Now, there are different types of spot meter. This is a 5-degree spot meter, which I know if you're a pure film photographer and your subject was the landscape, you'd actually want a 1-degree spot meter. That means the spot that you're metering is much finer in a 1-degree spot meter than a 5-degree. The kicker is, it's a 1-degree spot meter is, let me think, 4, maybe 5 times the price of one of these. And if you follow sort of popular YouTubers like Jared Polin, Frono's Photo, he claims film's dead, it's gone, it's extinct. Well, why then is this kit so damned expensive? I just don't understand that point of view. So from the research that I've done on spot metering, I've tried to boil it down to a couple of key statements, which is why I've got my little idiot guide. And my idiot guide says, meter the shadows where there is still detail visible and then underexpose by 2 stops. So if I was to meter the shadows using this and it gave me a 1 second exposure, what I'd actually do is I would select 1/4 of a second, halve it twice, and therefore you're underexposing by 2 stops. If I'm photographing a waterfall, then I would meter the visible highlights, so not where it's pure white, where it's very, very pale but there's still some detail, and then overexpose by 3 stops. So again, if we use the meter and we had a 1 second exposure, overexposing by 3 stops would give you an 8 second exposure. So that's 1 stop, 2 stop, sorry. If we overexposed by 3 stops, that's doubling it 3 times. So 1, 2, 4, 8. And that's how you get your 8 seconds. Now on the back of this cheat sheet, I've also got a little table, which I pinched from somewhere. That little table there. That gives me from 30 seconds to 1/4 I can't talk today, can I? 1/4000th of a second. That gives me shutter speeds in 1/3 of a stop increments. And you probably noticed there's a little arrow on it that says you read it one way to underexpose and you read it the other way to overexpose. I understand shutter speeds, I understand overexposure, underexposure, all that stuff. But this is new. This is something I've not done before. And I figured, you know what, if I actually give it to myself on a sheet of paper, complete with some simple guides, that gives me a much better chance for success. Now, I've got another subject over there, which I'm going to have a crack at. This worked. This gave me a reasonable exposure, maybe slightly underexposed, but I do wonder whether the light changed between me taking the reading and then pushing the shutter button. The sun is up here, but there's quite a lot of hazy cloud around, and I wonder whether the hazy cloud increased ever so slightly or decreased, depending on your point of view, and that's why I got a slightly different result, a slightly underexposed result. But it would have worked. It would have given me a decent exposure. So that's the first time I've done this, genuinely. and I'm already quite pleased with my result. Now, I've got a slightly different subject, but this time I'm shooting into the light. So I'm going to move you over there, and yeah, we'll do that one over there. And then I've got another subject a bit lower down this hill that's actually in quite deep shade. So let's have a play with that one first and see how we get on. Okay, so I'm doing this quite deliberately for a minute. So my subject is these two trees here, just there. And I'm not sure what to do. I might have to do the same as what I did there, because for my first subject, there wasn't deep shadow, there was shade. And all the research that I've done says that what these things do is they will read whatever it is you point them at and read them as middle grey, 19% grey, or whatever the terminology is. So rather than look for a highlight or look for a deep shadow based on my idiot guide, I just went for something that looked like middle grey, a grey in the middle. My subject over here is very similar. It hasn't got deep shadow. Well, maybe it has. There's a bit towards the top of the tree that looks as if it's in shadow. It's going to be a bit difficult for me to point it out, but that's what I'm going to meter for. So now I know where the power button is. Let's switch him on. Take my glasses off. Look through the viewfinder. Point the circle at where the tree's dark. Hit the button, which f2.8 is giving me 500th of a second, which is exactly the same as that one there. Oh well, never mind. So let's just move this tripod over. I'm not sure whether this lens is going to actually do it, but let's give it a try. Let's turn the lens around. Come on. Yeah, I'm just going to do it like that, I think. And it's already on 500th of a second. Let me just line him up. That's okay. Right, the light has actually changed. So let me just meter it again. And that's because the sun's come out. No, it still wants 500th of a second f2.8. I'm a little bit bothered because I'm shooting into the sun. So I think what I'm going to do is that I'm going to shade the glasses. I'm going to shade the front of the light meter a wee bit and do it again. Can't find the button to do the reading. Oh, there we go. No, it still reckons 500ths of a second. Right, let's do that then. So, camera on, 500th of a second, f2.8. Oh, focus, just check the focus. And I want 2.8 because that means the tree will be nice and sharp, but everything behind it will be slightly indistinct. And now for review the image. Yeah, again, it is still slightly underexposed, but only ever so slightly. Let me bring the Osmo over so that you can see what I can see. Ooh. Okay, excuse the wobbly cam, but I'm trying to shield the light. So that's what I got, and as you can see, the histogram is ever so slightly biased to the left hand side, which indicates small amount of underexposure. So that was reasonably successful, actually. I think what I need to make a note of is that on a bright, hazy day with no definite shadows, just normal shade, the meter has a tendency to underexpose. So therefore I probably need to, I don't know, add 2/3, something like that to brighten it up. I think what I might do is I might actually do that on that camera before I leave this spot. But there's another subject a bit lower down the hill, which I'm going to take you to now. And that is in deep shadow. And that means we can have a play with that end of the cheat sheet and see how we get on. So I'm going to pack up, head down, and I shall see you under this nice shady tree. So here is my shady tree. I will show it to you on the back of the camera, but for the time being, that is my shady tree. Hopefully you could see from there, I've got a very, very dark trunk and then reaching up into these branches. And it is very, very dark under there. So hopefully that meter for the visible shadows and overexpose will start to kick in. So power on. And I'm going to put the meter on the trunk, the dark trunk. Push the button. So again, I'm going to keep it at 2.8. And at 2.8, I get a 60th of a second. Now, let's just think back to the idiot sheet. So the idiot sheet says, meter the shadows where there is still detail visible. Boom. But then underexpose by 2 stops. So at a 60th of a second, if we're going to underexpose, then I'm going to double it twice. 2/50th of a second, he says. Right, let's move the Osmo onto the back of the camera, and we'll actually do that, and we'll see what the result looks like. Scary, huh? This is the disadvantage of doing it live on camera, but there we go, never mind. Right, so now we're on the back of the camera. What did we say? f2.8, where's 2.8? There's 2.8, and the meter was 1/60th of a second. Right, but we need to... Was it underexpose or overexpose? You see, this is why I have the idiot sheet. Meter the shadows where it's visible, then underexpose by 2 stops. So I need to make the shutter speed faster. That's right, isn't it? Yes. So that's 1 stop, 2 stops, 2/50th of a second. Which, if you look at the histogram here, that's indicating it's actually still underexposed. And I did notice at 1/25th it was actually okay. I'm actually going to take the image because I actually quite like the image. And again, I'm at 2.8 because I want this tree to be sharp, or that tree to be sharp and everything else to be indistinct. So I'm actually going to take that image. Now, what did that teach me? I think that taught me that there are levels of shadow. So the level of shadow on this tree, it's clearly visible, not where there is still detail visible. So it's kind of in between the two. It's not deep shadow, but it's in shade. I don't know if that's making any sense, but I think what I'm demonstrating here is that there is definitely value. Just realised the camera wasn't level. There's definitely value in having a play with this on a digital camera before committing to film. Yeah, I think there are a few lessons to learn here, which proves that this has been a useful exercise. So bear in mind for a moment this is actually the first time I've used this out in the landscape, having done some YouTube and you know, Facebook and internet searches to find out how to use one of these things. Oh, the midges are biting. Yuck. Ugh. I'm gonna have a pockmarked face later. So what you've just witnessed is me making mistakes and learning about them. And bear in mind today, in the last, however long this video is going to go on for, all I've actually played with is the shadows bit. I've not even touched the highlights side of things. So I think I need to go and play with that end, and I'm probably going to come across exactly the same issues. If there's anything that I've learned today, it's that what I'm looking at right now in terms of deep shadow isn't deep enough. It needs to be really dark, and I can only just about see detail for the 2 stops to apply. And then where I'm just in shade, which is probably that tree and the other 2 trees up there that I photographed earlier, that's probably only needs to be 1 stop rather than underexposing by 2 stops. There's also a little bit of me that's thinking, I wonder whether having a mobile app might actually help me as well. So if I take a meter reading and then use a mobile app, that will give me a better opportunity to grade the shadow or grade the highlight and not make a mistake on film. Now, what I could do, and another way around it, and those of you that have followed the channel for a while, when I first started to play with my pinhole camera, I used to get the exposure, and I would underexpose by 1 stop and overexpose by 1 stop. So I could adopt a similar approach here. Every scene that's in the shade, I underexpose by 1 stop, underexpose by 2 stops. Therefore, I'm hedging my bets. But of course, with 120 film, that's going to cost me £2.50 for every single scene. And I'd like to try and get it as right as I possibly can first time. So I think the conclusion from this outing is I need to have a little bit more of a play, certainly with shadows, and I definitely need to go and have a play with highlights, and maybe the highlights with a spot meter. That'll take take the shape of another video. I don't know. I'll go and have a play, and we shall see. But yeah, the midges are really biting me at the minute, so I'm going to wrap this lesson up right here. For those of you that are thinking of playing with film photography and spot meters, I hope it's been interesting, and I hope you kind of followed along. I will eventually get out with the film camera, and that will be yet another video. Film's going to feature quite a bit because I am really enjoying rediscovering film and rediscovering how to use it, and also discovering bits of kit like this that I've never ever had the opportunity to play with before. So thank you once again for watching. If you're not a subscriber and you like landscape photography, do consider becoming a subscriber, and if you hit the bell button alongside the subscribe button, then you'll get notified when a video is released. Being a subscriber is free, and you can unsubscribe at any time. If you've enjoyed the content, please do give it a thumbs up, give it a like, because that helps to get the content out there and share it with more people. If you've got any hints and tips for using a spot meter, do let me know. Clearly my 2 little bits of idiot guidance are going to increase. Well, that's fine, because that's the part of the process that I'm going through. But if there's any other words of advice that you would share using a spot meter with film, then do let me know in the comments below. So that's it. Until the next one, take care, stay safe, look after each other. See you soon. Take care. I did bring my midge net as well. It's because the wind's dropped. Right, bye.